Secret Wars.
Marvel's supervillains are coming!
Secret Wars.
Can the Marvel superheroes stop them?
Villains and superheroes figures each sold separately. Here, Doctor Doom and the Doom Platoon, Magneto, Dr. Octopus. There, Captain America and the Champions of Freedom, Spider-Man and Wolverine.
Secret Wars. The secret's out. Dr. Doom and Spider-Man, the Marvel Secret Wars collection. Other figures each sold separately. From Mattel.
All right, welcome back, boys and girls. This is another edition of Top 10 Toys. And this week, as you can see, we are covering Marvel Superhero Secret Wars. I absolutely loved this toy line when I was a kid. This was definitely one of my favorites. I had just about every one of these figures, and I even had extras. I tried to paint some to make some other heroes that they didn't actually make for the line. I tried a number of things, giving them other toy lines, weapons and capes and whatever I had. This was one of the go-tos of my youth. So Mattel's Secret Wars are definitely one of the top toys for me growing up. I wish I still had these figures, but tons and tons of great stuff from the Tower of Doom, which was one of the coolest bases that I remember being able to play with. It's harkened back to Castle Grayskull a bit, but all teched out and whatnot with the Top Gunner and all that fun stuff. Great toys. I can't praise them enough. And as you know, these all grew out of that Marvel Superhero Secret Wars miniseries. And that's something that, a lot of people look back on and love. I mean, it was just a great Marvel event. It brought all your heroes together. It was just a lot of fun. And there's a reason why that's something that, like the Russos have talked about that they would love to do if they ever came back to do a Marvel Universe movie. And hey, I'm pretty sure they were talking about this Secret Wars and not the newer version, but hey, who knows? Maybe they meld the two together. But that said, what is the thing that really sticks out about Secret Wars that makes everybody think of? It's really, Spider-Man, Black Suit Spider-Man, which again, eventually gives us Venom. I mean, that's it. Like, if there's one thing you can say that came out of this event, it's basically Venom and Spider-Man's black suit. It is just it's an iconic comic. It's an iconic cover. It's an iconic moment in the Marvel Universe. It is, look at where Marvel's at now, thanks to just this one little invention because they wanted to give Spidey a new outfit. Really, that's all it was. But with that said, these toys, they were a lot of fun. They had to go with this weird little gimmick of the little hologram shields that really didn't serve much of a purpose other than giving them a little accessory, to have. So that's something that really is kind of tough to come by if you're looking for these things loose, or having those shields and, the inserts that would go in them to have something complete. So I'm not going to get in really to the loose figures because there's too much. There's too much variance in prices and what you can get for what you have and what pieces you don't. So I'm just basically sticking mostly with the the new and packaged stuff. So with that said, look at this line. This is a great lineup. Just an absolutely great lineup of figures. They made some great choices they decided to make, and I can't say enough about it. So let's quit dilly-dallying and just get right into this list. All right, so for our first one, our number 10 is, as I noted, it's that Black Suit Spidey. You would think that this might be higher on the list, but no, here it is. It's here at number 10. It is a great figure, but it just comes up a little bit short in comparison to some of the other guys when you're talking about prices of these figures. The Black Suit Spidey, it's not cheap, mind you, and we're talking about, again, sealed price, sealed packages, new in box, new in package, whatever you want to call it. This is averaging about $132. So, and that was 12 sales on the Black Suit Spidey. So it is not a slouch in any way. And that's kind of level setting what we're talking about here. So our number 10 is already at $132, in the package. And you can see this is just a great little figure. It's a perfect, representation of them, really. There wasn't a lot of articulation here. They didn't bend at the knees or the elbows, but for what they did have, the molds were very good. And they stood when you needed them to stand. They eventually got loose if you played with them a little bit too much and made things a little bit difficult. But outside of that, the hands were built well to kind of bounce back and hold the weapons and shields and whatever you wanted to put in their hands. They kind of held, and they didn't get warped too much. Unlike some of the more the harder plastic toys, you can sometimes snap like thumbs and things like that off. Like G.I. Joes, you constantly would be snapping thumbs off, trying to fit larger weapons and things like that in their hands. But these guys, it was a little more pliable, so it was a little easier to manipulate and get them to do what you wanted them to do. So again, Black Suit Spidey is our number 10, which is going to take us to number 9. And number 9, we're looking here at Falcon. And this is a pretty cool figure. I mean, you got the wings going. You got the Redbird attached, even though he's brown, but, he's named Redbird. But he's coming in at number 9 because this is averaging about $164 or so. Again, 7 sales on this one, so it sells. There's plenty of options out there. None of these are super, super hard to find. I mean, they're hard to find cheap if you want them in great shape or in package, but they're out there. They're not impossible to find. This was a popular toy line, for a while there, so there's plenty of options. But this Falcon was a really cool character. Like I said, you had the wings, so this was something different outside the norms of the other figures, which were basically just the body mold, and that was really it. So him having the wings was a nice little extra, little additive that a lot of other figures didn't have, for the time. And speaking of little add-ons, our next one is Wolverine, who's coming in at number 8. And this Wolverine is the black clawed version, which I believe was the second release, and actually is a little bit harder to find, but prices have kind of proved out that these have kind of evened out over the years. The black clawed one used to be a lot more expensive, but these days it's pretty much one for one as far as pricing goes. I mean, I got the average here at about $180 for the black clawed Wolverine, and that's over 3 sales. So it's not as hard to find, or it's not the premium that you would get in years past. And again, perfect representation of Wolverine, and those claws were really cool. I used to use those claws because they just kind of snap on at the wrist. You can give them to any of your other toy figures. You can throw them at a G.I. Joe if you really wanted to. It's kind of long and large for them, but hey, it still worked. But really great mold, really nice figure. And the black claws themselves, you can see, even though the black clawed Wolverine may have come in here at number 8, the one claw by itself, just sold loose, is $35. $35 for just one of the 2 claws. So that goes to show that sometimes these little extra weapons and accessories can be quite valuable if you can find them, even if you have to because people are trying to complete their set. They're trying to complete their figure, trying to make their Wolverine whole, and they may only have one claw, so they need yours. So if you can find that extra one. So coming in right after that, then, as we can see at number 7, is the silver clawed version, which I believe was the first version that came out in the first run of the series. And this is coming in a little bit higher because this is averaging about $195. So the black claw was averaging $180. This is averaging $195, which is I had to put it at number 7, and that was over 5 sales. And both of these, this is like a $20 to $65 loose figure if you don't have it. It's, and if you have the claws, it definitely helps. But as I noted before, the black claw sold for $35 loose on its own, but a silver claw single on its own sold for only $25. So you can see, again, that black claw is a little bit of a premium, on its own, but still, this tiny little piece of plastic, $25 or $35, if you can find just this tiny little weapon in a box of junk, but that's yours, or, at a, junk sale, yard sale, whatever you want to call it, something to look out for. So just keep that in mind. So we're not going to hold this up for too much longer, and we're going to go to number 6, which after we had the Black Suit Spider-Man, we got to go with the original, the OG, blue and red original Spider-Man, which is coming in here at number 6, and this is averaging $221. Not cheap at all, and there were 8 sales for this one, but $221 is definitely one that's not that easy to find these days. And you can see this is more sought after than the black suit. So even though the Black Suit Spidey was the moment out of this series and this toy line, the original Spidey is the one that is selling for a bit more. Again, great mold, perfect representation of him. I remember, this is just a great look for Spidey, and there aren't a lot of figures that really do him justice, and this was one of them that I got to admit that I still look back on as one of the best Spidey toys for him. So with that, let's look at what we've got going on in our top 5. And for our top 5, we're going to go with one of the later runs. I think this came in the 3rd series and the last series for Secret Wars, and this was a Hobgoblin. You can see they got a little bit more ambitious with this, with the head mold, and he's got a cape, and he's got a glider. A lot of extras in this one. And this is coming in at number 5 at $226 on average. I found about 6 sales This is a $40 to $60 loose figure. So, Hobgoblin is one that I'm not positive. I don't remember having this one. So this might have been one that slipped past my collection. But like I said, this was in the final series, the third run, which I think they started making a little bit less. So these are definitely a little bit harder to find. So that is why they're getting near the top of our list and the pricier figures, because these weren't as plentiful as the figures before. But you can still see, the body molds themselves were mostly the same. It looks like, basically looks like a Captain America repainted, and then you give him a new head mold. And that's really what you could do back then with a lot of these toys. And it was fine. It was definitely fine. Like, good enough for me. But that's why Hobgoblin's coming in at number 5, which will take us to our number 4, which is a little bit of a cheat, because this is a 3-pack. But, hey, it is what it is. This 3-pack Gift Hero set is averaging about $273. And, there's also a villain set too that sells for about $112, so it didn't quite make the list. But this 3-pack of heroes, where you get Daredevil, you get the Black Suit Spidey, and get Cap, it's not too easy to find. $273 on average. I think there was a high sale of like $350 on this as well. But still pretty cool. Get 3 for 1 in this thing. And if you can find this in the box, again, not an easy ask to find things like this, gift sets. But that is our number 4, which is going to roll us into our top 3. And I will say that our top 3 don't come from around here. So I did not have any of these because these weren't released in the U.S. These, I believe, are the European releases of these figures. So they're definitely harder to find, and that is why they are priced accordingly.
It's not a purse, it's European!
So our first of these foreign releases is Constrictor, coming in at number 3. Another cool villain. They really loved using the purple. I'm a fan of purple. I know I've mentioned that before. But with the purple villains of Kang and Zemo, now you got Constrictor here. They weren't shy about using that purple paint for the bad guys. So Constrictor is our number 3, coming in at about a 292, average. So just under $300 for this guy, and it's still $137 loose, thereabouts. So loose in the package. These ones are tough because, like I said, they weren't released in the U.S., so not easy things to find. Really, only collectors have these guys, which also takes us to number 2, which is Electro. Electro, again, released overseas, $365 average on this one, and this is about $130 loose. And that $365 was based on 5 sales, so there are figures out there. 5 sales is not too bad for something that's generally pretty hard to find. You can see it's just got a nice, cool little paint job, and that head mold is definitely unique in that you got the cool Electro, things going on. It's not like the rest. So Electro comes in at number 2, which will leave us with our final and top pick. And at number 1, Iceman. Yeah, I'm surprised as well. Iceman. He doesn't have a lot going on. Really, when you look at like the makeup of him, he's just a pretty, sleek looking figure. It's Iceman. Yeah, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends was a great cartoon. I loved it growing up too. And I would have loved to have this figure, but you can see this is a pretty plain figure, and they just remolded, just basically one of the other figures. He's even looks like he has, Cap's little pirate boot things going on. Like Iceman didn't have that going on with his legs. Why didn't they just give him the Spidey body mold? I don't know. Maybe they just needed to add a little something so he wasn't just a plain, white figure. That would actually probably be really good if you were into that kind of a repainting thing, because, it's a blank slate. But Iceman, $545 for averaging on this one. And there were 4 sales on this guy. It's about $120 loose too. So again, still not cheap loose, but Iceman in the packages are top dog at about $550. Definitely not a cheap piece. So that's our top 10 for the Kenner Super. I keep saying Kenner. It's not Kenner Superpowers. It's Mattel. Mattel Secret Wars. The toy lines came around the same time. I kind of grouped them together in my head. Packaging coloring is even the same with the blue, the kind of powder blue, light blue background. So it's easy to confuse them sometimes. So if you just want to hang around for a few more minutes and you're enjoying this list, we can roll into a few honorable mentions that I got here just to throw in at the end. So for the honorable mentions, you notice that I basically only covered the figures. I mean, outside of that 3-pack, we were looking at solo figures. So I figured for the honorable mentions, we'll look at some of the vehicles and bases and that type of stuff. The extra things, because it's kind of hard to work them in to the top 10 sometimes because of price differentials and just the lack of a lot of sales. But that being said, our first honorable mention is the Doom Roller, which is a pretty cool toy. I mean, it reminds me a lot now of what they did for General Grievous's cycle. But I didn't realize that Grievous took this from Doom's Roller here. But this is about $62 or so. It's still kind of cool little figure. I mean, little vehicle. You can put your figure inside and just go right at it down the floor. So the Doom Roller is our first honorable mention, which will take us to this weird gunner ship, kind of base outpost. I don't know what you want to call it, but the Freedom Fighter is our next honorable mention here. And this one is about, a little over $80 for this in the box. As you can see, they got Cap and Spidey. They're sitting in turrets. It looks like a helicopter landing pad with some turrets. And that landing pad is kind of cool, and it's useful considering there are, in our next honorable mentions, the copters. I went with the Doom Chopper here for the pick because Captain America had a copter as well, but the Doom one sold for a bit more, so I decided to go with Doom's Chopper here, and that's about $161 in box for Doom's Chopper. I mean, it looks like a MASH style G.I. Joe Army type chopper, but hey, you slap some tech looking stickers on the outside, all of a sudden it's a Doom Chopper. Still pretty cool, definitely pretty cool. Which will take us on to our next honorable mention, which is what I mentioned kind of at the beginning, is that Tower of Doom. Great base. Definitely a great base. And yes, this is only averaging about $130, which is cheaper than the Chopper, but it's just awesome. And I get a complete set with a box is still a tough task, but it's still really cool and something I would love to pick up once again. And 12 sales. So there's a lot of these out there. So this Tower of Doom was not hard to find item from back in the day. So there's lots of these out there because it was awesome, and apparently it sold very well. So moving on from that, I just got a couple more just kind of throw at you. And another thing that I found interesting, there was only one sale, and it was for $360, and that was this Sears mail-in. It was these mailers aren't something that last through the histories, because if you look here, it's basically got the box that got mailed to you, and it had a couple of the figures just in plastic baggies. In this case, this mailer had Spidey and Doc Ock, packaged together just in little plastic bags, and tucked in this little white box that they would mail off to you. And $360. So this Sears 2-pack was again something that's not too easy to find these days, which is probably the reason why $360 was the cost on this. One bid. So great. This was a couple of months ago, but still, I couldn't find any more up. So this is not something that's out there a lot. So one of those weird little things. And speaking of weird little things, my last little honorable mention here is this Target game. This flip action. It's a little gun blaster, almost like you're at a carnival. Shoot down the targets. Little suction cup gun game.
Take out all the little people, you get to waltz off with the cuddly monkey.
And $400 on this thing. $399, one sale. So this is not something that is easy to find, especially in the box. I mean, this is something the kid would open and want to play with. Like a figure, you can still appreciate and look at it like as a little statue in the package. But something like this, you got to open this thing up and put those little suction cup bullets in and just fire away. So that's it. That's our list. Hopefully you enjoyed this. I loved going back, taking that trip down memory lane, getting all nostalgic, looking at the old toys. And as I mentioned before, these Secret Wars figures were some of my favorites. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this series of videos that I'm doing. I'm not sure what I'm going to do next week. I know I shifted here to Marvel because I've stepped off of doing Marvel on my dollar bin videos, so I felt I had to touch Marvel in some way. So I went back to the toys. So I don't know. We'll see. If you guys got any suggestions, what you'd like to see, put them down in the comments, and I will take it in consideration. I got a long list of toys I want to cover, but I'm not sure what I'd like to do next. So, shout it out. Let me know what you guys want to see, what you guys like, what you don't like. Please like and subscribe to my channel, Tales from the Flip Side channel, and hopefully you're enjoying it. I mean, they're toys after all. So thanks again.